Hey, everybody. Hi, Gay. Welcome. Welcome all. Thank you, Jay, for that comment. Wow, how are we all doing? Well, I hope in these interesting times. But, at least it means we can use Zoom as we're using it now. And we've got lots and lots of friends on YouTube as well. Wherever you are in the world, you can always be with E2 language. And you're very, very welcome. All of you who've never been on before to our IELTS speaking class today. So my name is Graham, and I expect there's a whole lot of people on who I have never had in a class before. So that's totally wonderful. So I'm just going to wait a second or two to make sure that everybody who's coming is coming through our virtual door. So as I said, we're on YouTube Live as well and streaming on Zoom. So all of you guys who are on Zoom there, nice to have you on board. We're using the chat box to chat. That means that you have any questions, comments, words of wisdom, stick them in the chat box so we can all see. So let's open to everybody. All right, who have we got on? Well, Erica, Mohyeddin, Edidong, Ruchika, Rajesh, and Gabby, and many, many more. Sophia, Hania. Sorry if I don't get around to saying hello personally to you all, but it's great to see you. Now, it's 5 o'clock in central Vietnam. The sun has set, it's a cloudy day. We've had some good rain in the storm, but it's all gone. So fortunately, we've got internet and we've got electricity. So let us begin. Now, if you're new, as many of you certainly will be, I'm going to go through the speaking test right at the beginning to give you a good sense of what the test is all about. All right. So if you're experienced, an old hand, then bear with me, be patient, and we'll get on to the real stuff very, very soon. So here we go. Now, first of all right, if you're on YouTube, hi, great to see you. I'm not sure, I haven't had a chance to have a look yet, but I expect there's quite a lot of you. But if you're on YouTube this evening or this morning or last night, next time, join us on e2language.com. Yep, that's who we are. And you can see from the sign behind me as well. Now, for all of you who are on YouTube, we would love to have your feedback, all right, about our live classes. So I'm going to put a little a link. Let me get it right here. I'm just going to put a link into the chat box here so you can all see it. And it's just coming up now. And there it is. Hello, Sneha. That was great. Had a nice mini mock test yesterday on speaking with Sneha. So great, you're here and learning more. So there we go. HTTPS forms. If you'd like to give us some feedback on how we're doing and what you'd like to see more of or less of in our live classes, copy that link. It's a very short form and we'd love to hear from you. And hi from Pakistan. Oh, that's great. Hey, Zenjan, we've got people everywhere, I think. You've already filled it in. You're ace. Thank you very much, Joe. Fabulous, fabuloso. All right. And another bit of exciting news that came up just last week is this. We have got the biggest, the most premiumist package that we've ever had. And yes, it's not cheap, but it includes everything. So if you're really serious about preparing for your IELTS test and you want to make sure as far as you can that you've got all the help you need to get what you need in the test, check it out. You also get 3 free express packages for your friends and family and for your enemies as well, if you like. Why not? What better way to make friends of your enemies and give them a premium package. There we go. Have a look, check it out on promo.e2language.com. Just go onto the E2 Language website and you'll find it there. All right, just having a quick look, lots of chats coming in. I've changed the dress. I'm not wearing a dress, Varsha. I'm wearing a shirt. I've changed my dress, but thank you. Well noticed. Yes, I put a clean one on. Alrighty, so here we go. Today's live class. Let's get on with the business at hand. My name is Graham. I am a teacher at E2 Language. I'm here in central Vietnam, in touch with anybody in the world and everybody, and all you guys too. Welcome on Zoom and on YouTube. So what are we doing today? A little bit of an overview of the IELTS speaking test for those of you who don't know much about it, and a reminder for those of you who think you do to make sure you do. Now, a vocabulary brainstorm, because we've got to prepare for our part 1 practice. Special little treat coming up for you guys soon. I won't tell you now. Then we're going to do some test practice. And we've also got some thoughts about what do you do if you can't think of what to say? How do you fill that silence with good language and at the same time give yourself a chance to think of something to say? We're calling them hesitation devices. You could call them buying time devices. Give me a bit of time. I need to think. I haven't got any ideas. Don't say that, of course. Anyway, that's coming up later. Q&A is all the way through the test. Q&A, just keep putting your stuff in the chat box. What type of vocabulary do we need to use in speaking? Vidu says, ooh, what a good question. That's a very big question. Well, vocabulary that helps you to communicate clearly your ideas to the examiner. All right, ones that are on topic, some less common ones, some idioms, some phrasal verbs, that kind of thing. Thanks for the question. All right, here we go. Now, before we do, just a quick glimpse of our E2 Language dashboard for those of you who are thinking about joining us. This is where you book tutorials. A tutorial is 45 minutes with a tutor like myself or Sasha you might have met online. There's Anna, there's Danielle, there's Marie Claire. There's a whole host of wonderful teachers on E2 Language. Book your tutorials there, and speaking tests. You get a one-on-one speaking test there or a speaking intensive package. And lastly, this is where you buy, just to give you a taste of what you get on your dashboard. Now, here's the IELTS speaking test. What's it all about? A quick overview. Now, you all know, I expect, how many minutes the test takes. Very quickly, it's 11 to 14. All right, good. People very quick on the draw in the chat box there, 11 to 14. All right. You can tell stories. Yes, I'm watching. This is really good. 3 parts. I like that. Tell stories to support your answer. Stories are great, aren't they? You know stories. They're about you, about your life, about your culture, people you know, ideas you have. Yes, stories are great. I love them. Okay, and a bit more. Here we go. Personal questions, part 1. Bit of a chat, warm up. Get yourself relaxed in the test. Just talking about where you live, what you do, what ice cream you like, whatever the questions are that the examiner asks you. But seriously, take this time to relax, because it's a stressful experience, hey? Sitting in front of an examiner with a whole lot on the line, all right? So use part 1 to get yourself relaxed and activate your language. Nice. We'll talk about in a minute how to do it. Part 2 is a 2-minute talk. Everybody says it's really difficult. Well, actually, we've got some great methods and techniques to make it easier for you. And part 3 is a discussion. Don't talk personally in that part. Let's have a look at the timings. 5, 4, 5. Those are the maximum times that each part will last. You're not talking for the whole of it, of course, so don't worry too much. Alrighty, let's move on. Now, the examiner is going to assess you. You come in, you sit down, you do your test, you leave. The examiner has a look at his band descriptors. We'll have a look at those in a second, and decides what score to give you according to 4 criteria. All right. The first criterion is fluency and coherence. Can you keep going? Do you make sense? Can the examiner follow you easily? All right, that's fluency and coherence. Lexical resource, fancy word for vocabulary. Okay, next, grammatical range. You have a good range of different grammatical structures. And do you make only a few mistakes? You can make a few mistakes, but don't make too many. And lastly, is your pronunciation? Is it easy to understand you? Can you produce the features of English, such as intonation, sentence stress, etc.? Okay. You can find out lots about all of these things if you look on E2 Language YouTube channel, videos on all of these. So give it a go. Now, I mentioned the band descriptors. This is what the examiner uses. At least this is what IELTS lets us see. The examiner uses these complicated band descriptors. We'll give you a simplified version later to mark you on your fluency and coherence, lexical resource, grammatical range and accuracy, and of course your pronunciation. So that's what happens. All right, indeed, there she does. Good. Excuse me. Let's move on to part one. As I said, it's all about personal questions. Excuse me. Before the examiner asks you or starts on part one, though, she has to check to make sure that you are the right person for the test. So she will ask you a few questions to check your ID, such as she'll say, my name is Graham. Can you tell me your full name? She checks your ID, maybe asks where you're from, but she's seen your passport, so she doesn't need to. And once she's sure that you are the right person, then she moves on to part one. This bit is not assessed, so don't worry if you make a mistake. Unlikely. Before we move on to part one, though, we have to think a bit about some vocabulary because I'm going to get you to practice. And this is something that you need to know about right now because you need to get your phone out and make sure you know how to record yourself. This is a way to help you to speak more because many of you, of course, are in places where it's pretty hard to talk English because there aren't very many people to talk English to. So your phone is your friend in many ways, but it's your friend also to help you to keep speaking, to develop your fluency and your coherence, to listen to your vocabulary, to check out your grammar and your pronunciation. So get your phone out because we're going to use them right the way through. And your homework, of course, will be to listen to yourself afterwards. Always a treat. Now, here we go. You've got a minute, right? Some brainstorming. Now, what I like with a great large class like this is people put in their vocabulary for these two topics. These are the topics today, the area you live in, and TV. Pop them in the chat box. We get a huge number here because we've got a lot of people in the class. 1 minute to brainstorm. What vocabulary would you use for these two topic areas? And here they all come. Oh, we've got lots and lots. That's great. Okay, cosmopolitan city, glued to the TV. I like that, Maria. That's really super. Riverside, a hobby. The idiot box. I like that. Very nice, Harsh. The idiot box, the TV. Great vocabulary. Some nice idiomatic vocabulary coming up. Commercial, humongous. Wow, that's a good, stupendous view. It is indeed. All right. A tourist hotspot. A Black Mirror. Oh, the TV program. I loved it. It's great, wasn't it? Suburbs, metropolitan city. Good. They're all coming up. We're going to give you a few as well. A picturesque view. A couch potato. Are you indeed? That's very good. And so on and so on. They're all coming up. You can see them there in the chat box. Breaking Bad, wasn't that a great series? Landscape addiction, addicted to TV, glued to the screen. Okay, good. Some great vocabulary there. You might have picked up some you didn't know. Here are a few suggestions from us. A minute to read them. Pick out 2 or 3 from each that are not familiar to you or ones that you don't normally use. See if you can use them in your practice. Yeah, people asking what dodgy does dodgy mean? Well, sometimes you live in a dodgy neighborhood. A dodgy neighborhood is one that's not very safe. You wouldn't want to go out after dark. Dodgy. It's something you can't trust. All right, you don't feel safe. Sedentary means, of course, you don't get a lot of exercise. You sit around all day like a couch potato, watching TV and Netflix. Anything else? What does artsy mean? Artsy means Well, there's a lot of alternative stuff going on in my part of the city. All right. There's some great cafes. There's a lot of murals on the walls. There's a lot of artsy. It comes from the word art. All right. Good. So there we got some vocab. Choose 2 or 3 that you'd like to use because we're going to do some practice. Let's just check out that you understood some of them. Fill in the gaps, the boxes with words, red words from the bottom. 30 seconds for that, just to give you a sense of 1 or 2 that you might like to use. All right, how's it going? Yes, we've got sedentary in there. That's good. See, that might be something. It's interesting with vocabulary. If you use it 2 or 3 times, it becomes your English. So that's really why you want to be trying to try some new words today so they become your language. There are the answers. Perfect place to raise a family. Kids tend to be very sedentary. Yep, sitting around glued to screens on their devices, glued to the screen when the Olympics are on. Bad impact on your attention span. Oh yes, 8 seconds apparently. Attention span today, 8 seconds. Well, maybe a bit more for us. And lacking sports facilities. So, where you live, the city, town, country, village you live in, maybe lacking certain facilities. All right, here we go. Let's do some practice. So first of all, let's remind ourselves what the examiner is going to do in part 1. He has got, or she, a maximum of 12 questions on 3 different topics. She'll never ask you all of them because you are going to extend your answers and give examples so she doesn't have time. All right, first of all, the first question is always about either what you do or where you live. And the second and third topics are chosen from a very large range, so you have no idea what it's going to be, but here is some possible ones that you could work on. All right, here we go. Remember, the questions are simple and they're personal, but I'd like you to practice in a minute to give some nice, full, well-developed answers to these simple personal questions. Here's an example. Do you live in a big city or a small town? Did you play sport as a child? So you can see, not too hard. All right, but this is, as I said, a good chance to really get your language going. Now, we've got some methods, and some of you who have been on before can probably remember what they are. Why do we have methods? Well, because we want to help you to make your answers nice and long, extend them, and also to show the examiner, to show off to the examiner that you've got some good vocabulary and you've got some great grammar to use to express your ideas. All right, so we've already got Varsha, who's been in the class before. Hi, Varsha, thank you very much. All right, reason, detail, opinion, contrast, past, present, present to future. Pretty good. Yes, here they are. So you're going to give your opinion. You're going to provide some details. You might give reasons why you think something is. You might give a contrast. Okay, that's a good way. Or you might compare what something was like when you were a child to what it's like now, or what it's like now and what you think it might be like at some point in the future. All right. Please give an answer to your question. Well, Vidu, I'm sorry, we've got several hundred people in the class. I think I might have missed your question. Can you tell me again what your question is? Please give an answer to the question. How to improve pronunciation of tough words? Ah, very good. Okay. Well, 2 things I would say. First of all, use your phone and record yourself so you can listen to yourself. And next, look at our E2 Language YouTube channel. And on there, you'll find several videos that Jay has put together on certain things like sentence stress, pronunciation, the 44 sounds of English. All right. You need some feedback though first. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to take a mini mock test with E2 Language and to find out where you need to improve your pronunciation. So I hope that helps a little bit for you and Vidu and everybody else. Let's move on. Yeah, let's do some practice. Now, remember I said get your phones ready. Remember that red button, record function? Here we go. Now, what are we going to do? First of all, we're going to practice using some of these methods to extend your answers. So you're going to have several questions asked to you by David, our resident examiner, and I'd like you to answer them, to basically give your opinion, extend your answer, give reasons, examples, details, past to present, present to future. Try all of them. See how well you can do. We're going to give you 15 seconds to record your answer, but of course, in the test, there is no time limit. However, remember, the examiner will say, thank you, when she needs to ask you another question. So don't worry if you get interrupted. You're not doing anything wrong. Keep speaking. But remember, develop your answer so that the examiner can understand what you're saying. Cue cards here, Kirti, are in part 2. We will deal with those in a minute. All right. David is the younger brother of Sasha. I think it might be the other way around. No, they're not related. Okay, are we ready? Get your phone ready, on record. Here we go.
Now, in this first part, I'd like to ask you some questions about yourself. Let's talk about where you live. Do you live in a big city or small town? What can people do for fun there? What would you change if you could?
Two more. Oh, sorry. Start again.
Let's talk about TV. Did you watch much TV as a child? Do you think children these days watch too much TV?
All right. How did you go? I've got lots of questions in the chat box. I'm sorry I can't answer them all, guys, because we've got a lot of people online. Great. Very bad. Oh, very bad. Why was you so very bad? Sounds like you need to listen to what you did after the class and go back and try it again. Remember, you got the questions, and I'm going to give you them in a second. Not very well, Charan. Well, I wonder why. Were you trying using some of these methods to extend your answers? Okay, we've got lots of questions. Don't ask me questions about writing. We're on the speaking class. Yeah, I don't know. All right, now I'm going to get you to do some practice here. Okay, now, first of all, these are the questions. All right, these are the questions. So just take a screenshot. All right, and practice them at home. But we're also going to do a little bit of practice here today as well. So those of you who are on YouTube, join us on Zoom next time, because you might just get the chance to get live on in the class, because I'm going to ask a few people to answer these questions. Now, before I do, yeah, we've got lots of hands raised. Thank you. All right. I'm not going to get through all of you, I'm afraid. Okay, now remember, what we're trying to do is to extend our answers. Okay, so first of all, we're going to give our opinion, then we might give some detail, some reasons, compare past to present, present to future, and so on. So what I want you guys who are listening there at home or wherever you are is to listen to our first person, who is Tatiana. I'm going to unmute your microphone in a second. And in the chat box, just put Well, what did Tatiana manage to do? She's not going to use all of these methods, but what did she do well? Which one did she do well at? Okay, so Tatiana, hi. Tatiana is still muted. Hey, Tatiana. All right, for some reason you're still muted there, Tatiana. We're trying to get you unmuted here. All right, we're still trying. Not working. For some reason, technology is letting us down at the moment. The muting is still... Everybody knows the word mute now, don't they? Tatiana, I'll try you again later. All right. All right, we've got Zishan Hussein. Give you a go. Let's see how we go. Zishan. Hi there.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Zishan. Very good. Very good. So Zishan,
Yeah.
you're on, you've got an audience of hundreds, all right, just to make you nervous.
Yeah.
Do you
Oh,
live in a big city or a small town?
Well, I live in a small town which is located in the north of Pakistan. It's a green valley. It's a valley basically in the middle of mountains, and it's a very beautiful area.
Thank you. So you answered the question, you gave your opinion, and you gave some details. All right.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you very much, Zishan. It's a good start.
Well,
Thanks for coming on. All right, we can give Tatiana another go. Stubbornly muted. Sorry, Tatiana, I don't know why. Okay, Saif, Khalid, let's try you. Hi, Saif. All right, we're still trying to get Saif talking permitted, but he's still muted. Trying to unmute you here, Saif. We'll give you another go later. All right, now we're into, I think it's Dandiola. Hope I got your name right there. All right. Hi there. I don't know why. Maybe there's so many people in the class here. That's why it's sketchy. Hey. Hi there.
Hello.
Hello. Hi there. Now
I'm
let's
fine.
talk about, yeah, good. Hey, right. So, Damilda, yes, Damilda, let's talk about your town, or city, or small town, or village. Tell me, what can people do for fun there?
There are various things people can do for fun, such as going to the park. We have beautiful museums. There are aquariums, beach, and waterfronts. People go to the park in the evening to ease their stress and have some family time with their family members.
Thank you. It sounds a lovely place to live. I liked all your examples. You very clearly introduced the topic by saying there are lots of things you can do. You gave us a whole variety of different examples. Thank you very much, Damilda. I like the way in which you extended that very much. Thank you. All right. I'm going to see if we can get Tatiana unmuted. Still no luck. Oh, hello. Tatiana. Tatiana, hi. Your connection is not that great, is it?
Sir?
Hello.
Yes.
Okay.
Hello.
Let's talk about your hometown. What would you change if you could, Tatiana? Oh. Tatiana's gone muted again. All right, let's try somebody else. All right, Mohammed is on. Mohammed Saleh. Here we go. I'm unmuting your microphone, Mohammed. Mohammed, hi there. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, I'm good, Mohammed. I'm good. All right.
Thank you.
Let's talk about let's talk about your hometown or your village or city. What would you do to change it if you could?
Exactly, if I want to change about the previous world and now, if I want to compare about the previous and now, exactly because of now, we have a lot of construction near the coastal town and also near the sea. It's a very bad affect our life. Exactly, it's a very bad because we are not to be another chance and also a good chance to enjoy our life because of this, I think. It's my opinion. And also because of crowded of and nowadays, we don't have any chance to enjoy our life, in my opinion.
Thank you, Mohammed. All right,
You're
so you
welcome.
talked about the, thank you, Mohammed. You talked about the past and the changes you'd like to make in the future. All right. Thank you, Mohammed. Mohammed, could I suggest you have a little think about, record yourself, listen to your pronunciation. There are things you could do to make it a little easier for you to understand. But thanks very much for coming online and comparing
Thank you.
what it used to be like and what it is now. Thanks. All right, so we've now got Sazad. Sazad, hi. You're unmuted. You should be. Sazad, can you hear me? I can't hear you yet. No. Zoom is playing up a bit today, isn't it? Sorry about this, everybody. No, I can't get Sazad unmuted at all. All right. So let's have a look. One more. Let's try one more. Alia Nassim. Okay, Alia. I'm unmuting you. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hello, Alia. All right. Now let's move on to the topic of television. Did you watch much TV as a child?
Oh, yes, I literally did. While I was child, I used to spend like hours and hours to watch the TV.
Would you like to extend your answer a little bit more?
Okay. Um,
What else could you say?
I'm listening.
What did you watch? What did you? I can't answer your question, but
Okay, all right. Okay, right. While I was a child, I used to watch the TV and almost spent hours and hours over there. And they were my favorite programs over there. Like I used to watch the cartoons and some of the movies that was very like fascinated, and that attracted me to spend my hours over there spend to watch the TV.
thank you, Alia. Okay, so
Thank
you can see how you can practice, and this is good for everybody. Yes, you say, yeah, I used to watch a lot of TV as a child. And then you could say maybe what you watched or why you liked watching it. So try to extend your answer. And maybe, Elliot, use the expression over there a little bit less than you did. Thanks
Okay.
very much for coming on, Elliot. All right. Goodbye.
Okay. Goodbye.
All right. So we're going to move on to part 2. I'm sorry I wasn't. Oh, Sazad. Hi.
Yes.
Hey,
Hello.
thank you. All right. It works. That's great. Sazad, let me ask you a question. Don't forget to develop your answer.
Please.
Nice and long. Now, Sazed, do you think children these days watch too much TV?
Yeah, I think so because in these days children get in home too much because I'm from Bangladesh and Bangladesh is play outside the ground. It's short like little. That's why. Hello.
Yes, hello. Continue.
They get little chance to play outside. Then they have nothing else to do instead of watching TV.
Thank you, Sazed. Good. You extended that very well. I like the example. I like the way you talked about your own country. It's always good in part 1 to talk about something from your own experience. All right. And talking about what happens in your own country is a very good way of doing that. Thank you very much, Sazad. All right, let us move on. We've done part one. You've got some good ideas of how to extend your replies, your answers to the examiner. So don't forget, take a screenshot of this, practice, listen to what you did during the practice, and see how you could, if you did it again, how you could extend your answers more. All right, that's part one. Let's move on. Part two. So this is where we get to the task card bit that some people have been asking questions about. Again, apologies not being able to answer all your questions on the chat box. They're coming thick and fast, and I can't keep up with them. All right, what happens in part two? Many of you know that you get a task card. The examiner gives you one and asks you to talk about a topic for 1 to 2 minutes, all right? And gives you 1 minute to prepare before you speak. You can make notes if you want to. You don't have to, all right? But if you do, if you want to, that's fine. Nobody reads your notes. And then the examiner will ask you 1, maybe 2 little follow-up questions. Just give a very short answer. Yes, I do. No, I don't. Something like that at the end. Not assessed. So that's what happens. All right. Here's an example of a task card. All right. This is not the one we're going to be working with, but you'll see that in a minute. You can see it has 1, 2, 3, 4, what we call prompts. And these are there to help you to think about what to say. You don't have to talk about all of them. You could just talk about one. If you run out of things to say, you can always look down at the task card on the desk in front of you and say, now what else could I tell you? Oh, let me tell you a bit about how this law has affected my country, and help you to continue speaking. Remember, we're talking about hesitation techniques. Well, this is another way to help you buy time. All right, let's have a bit more look at part two before you get to do some more practice and record yourself on the phone. Now, the first one we're going to look at, the first method technique is PPF, past, present, future. And this is very useful because sometimes you run out of things to say if you're just talking about the topic now. But supposing you were to talk about a law that used to be in your country many years ago, a current law, or maybe a law that you would like to see at some time in the future. So you'd have 3 laws, and that then you talk about those in the 2 minutes. So that's what past, present, and future is. If you want to check it out, YouTube channel, E2 YouTube channel, Jay's done a great video, probably several videos on past, present, and future. So have a look. Could be something for you to practice, and you can practice today, of course, if you want. All right, now, the second method we're going to look at is what many of you use, and it's what we're calling the traditional method. All right, you start with a short introduction. Okay, so you've asked me to talk about a law that came in my country quite recently. So first of all, let me tell you about what this law is. And then what you do is you talk about it and you follow the prompts down. You can use the words on the card. Now, what do I know about it? Well, not a lot, but let me tell you what I can remember. How has it affected my country? It's been huge, I tell you, and so on. So you use the prompts on the card to help you to organize and structure what you say. All right, we've got a lot of laws coming up here. All right, good. Again, sorry, I can't pay much attention to the chat box at the moment. What if I have a clue, don't have a clue to say because I don't know anything about the laws in my country? All right, improvise. Well, you answered your question yourself. Yes. But be honest, and thank you for asking the question, because it's a really good one, because people feel like, oh my God, I'm so stupid. I don't know anything about. How can I talk about this? First thing, be honest. Say, oh, wow. Now, look, this is a difficult topic because quite honestly, I know very little about the laws in my country. But there is one that I think I can probably talk to you about, and that is the law about riding your bicycle on the sidewalk. Just think about something simple. But be honest, buy yourself some time, tell the examiner that you don't really know what you're talking about. I mean, it happens in life, doesn't it? This test is a test of your communication, your ability to communicate with another human being. So don't worry, be honest. It's not a test of your IQ, your knowledge, your world knowledge, or anything else like that. It's a test of your language. All right, so these are two methods that you could use. Try the PPF if you like, past, present, future, all right? Or 3 separate stories, or the traditional method. See what works for you. Sometimes PPF works better with certain topics than with others. All right. Now, use your own experience. Use what you know. Talk about your own culture, your own country. That's what you know best of all. And as someone said right at the beginning, you're actually kind of telling a story. All right. So if you're a good storyteller, you should do well. If you're not that great at telling stories, practice, get better at it. All right, let's do some practice. Oh, no, before we do, of course, we need some words to use, don't we? Here we go. Now, we're talking here about leadership. All right. Interesting topic. Maybe one you don't know a lot about. Well, think of some interesting language, pop it in the chat box, and then we'll put some up there that you might want to use. So the topic is leadership. What can you share with other people in the class about leadership? Rule, charismatic. Ah, yeah, we like charismatic leaders, don't we? Managerial issues, I'm sure there are. There always are, aren't there? Managers and workers. Charisma, I like it. Creativity, positive leadership. Nice. Cooperation, a passionate person. Dictatorship, I like that. Yes, you certainly find that in companies as well as countries. Keep putting them in the chat box. Have a look as they go through. Maybe you can pick up 1 or 2 that you like that you might want to use. A visionary leader. I like that very much. Okay. Here are 1 or 2 that we have come up with. Have a look at them. 45 seconds to read them. To delegate, I like that. That's very good. So you might find 1 or 2 words there that you like, that you might want to use. To lead by example, Abri. I like that one. That's great. Very cool. An optimistic person there. Treating all as equal, Ramesh. That's nice. Treating everybody in the company as equal. To lead the way. Good. All right. Tell me any other application except Cambly, which will be not paid app. I'm sorry, I don't actually know. All right. But you can always email hello@e2language.com and ask them your questions. Let's do some practice, shall we? First of all, though, let's just have a look. 30 seconds, match the numbers with the letters. Give you a sense of what these words mean. Some people have an innate gift to be a leader. They were born with it. Born to be a leader. Born to be free reminds me of a song. All right, and the answers are, here we go. Charismatic, charming. A bit more than charming, I think, really. But I'm sure you can think of charismatic leaders, people that you know of. All right. An innate gift, something that you're born with, a natural gift. To look up to, of course, is to admire, but a nice phrasal verb, to look up to. A visionary, somebody, yes, who has original ideas about the future. And lastly, I don't think we like authoritarian leaders, do we? Those who, anyway, we know what we mean. I'm sure you can think of 1 or 2 of those too. Let's do some practice now. Okay, here we go. Get your phone to record yourself. Really important to record yourself this time because I want you to listen to how you do at the end. Okay, so here is David. He's going to take us through it. You're going to get a minute to prepare, remember? So you've got notepad and paper. Then you've got 2 minutes to talk. And then a very short answer at the end to the question the examiner asks you. All right, have fun. You've decided which method you're going to use. Keep talking for that 2 minutes. Remember, If you can't think of anything else to say, look at the task card and say, now what else could I tell you about? Oh yeah, I know, let me tell you a bit more about. All right, have fun.
Now, I'm going to give you a topic and I'd like you to talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes. Before you speak, you'll have 1 minute to think about what you're going to say, and you can make notes if you wish. Do you understand? Here's a pen and paper for your notes, and here's your topic. Please don't write on it. I'd like you to talk about a leader that inspires you. All right? Remember, you have 1 to 2 minutes, so don't worry if I stop you. I'll tell you when the time is up. Can you start speaking now, please? Thank you. Would you like to be a leader?
Oh, right, I'm going to stop you there because that last answer should be very short. Yes, I really would, or no, thank you, not for me. All right, good. How did it go? A couple of questions to answer from the chat box, but before we do, how did it go? Average. Can we talk about a family member? Yes, Maria asked that as well. Sure, you can certainly talk about a family member. Absolutely. If your father or your mother or your grandfather or grandmother were inspiring people, then talk about them for sure. Definitely. Remember, it was good. You spoke about a spiritual leader. Excellent. Super duper. Bit average. Better for me. Oh, sorry, I missed that one. Can't get into personal details like the company they work for. Okay. Can you repeat a few words? Quite possibly, but try not to repeat too much, right? Getting the hang of the method. That's great. Okay. Talk to my college president. Super duper. That's good. Talk about someone you know, your boss at work. Daniela, that sounds fantastic. Not bad. A charismatic author. You use charismatic and authoritarian. Awesome, Sarah. Maybe you talked about two different leaders there. Can I talk about my professor? Yes, of course you can. Absolutely. Look, to be honest, the best thing to talk about is something that you already know about, right? Makes sense. Okay. Okay, talk about Genghis Khan. Oh, I like that. Yes. I don't know much about him, but you know, maybe you read a lot. Nelson Mandela. Good. Jeff Bezos. Yep. You can talk about anybody you like, anybody who inspires you. That's all. A leader. And of course, everybody is a leader in some way or other. So good. Well done. Don't forget to listen to your recording, okay, afterwards. And if you feel like it, give it another go. Record yourself again. Keep practicing. Keep talking. Good. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for your questions. You got a bit stuck there, Harpreet. Did you manage to keep talking for 2 minutes, though? If not, go back, do it again. Keep practicing. Get that vocabulary working. All right. Listen to how you're doing it. Say, oh, I could have said this, or this would have been better, or whatever. You talked about Kim Jong-un. Well done. I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, he certainly is to some people. Okay. Can we get a recording? No, but you can, if you're part of each language, you can watch this again and watch the recording of the live class. We need to move on because time is ticking. As always, IELTS Speaking Part 3. It's a kind of discussion. Well, I mean, the examiner's asking you questions and you're answering them. So it's as close to a discussion as we can get. Now, the examiner has questions to ask you, of course. And the examiner, she has roughly 6, 7, 8 questions she could ask you if there's time. She starts with a set of 3 questions, which she will ask you. And these are the easiest ones. And then depending on whether she's rating you at a 7 or more, she will choose a slightly more difficult set of questions or a more difficult set of questions. But you should also know that she will ask you extra questions based on what you say. She might say something like, oh, can you tell me what you mean about? Could you tell me more about that? What did you mean by that? So extra questions to get you to speak more about something you've just said. Now, in this part 3 also, you are going to develop and extend your answers. All right. So don't forget to say why you think something, give an example, and we'll look at the methods in a second. As I said before, if you don't know much about the topic, don't worry. It's a test of your language. So learn how to speak when you don't really know what you're going to say. All right. It sounds a bit weird, doesn't it? But of course, what else can you do? Because you can't say, oh, can I have another topic, please? No, you can't do that. Remember, don't talk personally in this part. The examiner will stop you. Don't say, oh, well, you know, my dad told me, or I remember when I was a child. General and abstract. But you can always use your experience, say, of when you were a child, and talk about it generally. You could say, well, in India, children are not allowed to. All right, if you're talking about your experience of when you were a child. Okay, so question here from Abhishek. Hi, Abhishek. Hi, Graham. If the examiner asks more questions than, sorry, let me just hang a second, or I lose you. Can I have more questions than that? It also means she's going to rate you higher. No, because the part of the examiner's job is to push you by asking you to talk about things you haven't thought about before and to see if you have the language to do that and the structure to frame your ideas and your answers. It doesn't mean anything, all right, to be honest. It really doesn't. It's part of her job. It's what she's trained to do, is to ask you extra questions. But good question. Thanks very much for asking it, Abhishek. All right. Now, can we make notes on parts 1, 2, and 3? You only make notes on part 2 there, Yusuf. What's the best way to make notes? Well, just practice. Some people don't make notes at all. They just sit there and think about what they're going to say. It's up to you. You work it out. It's a personal thing, really. Part 3 is not personal, absolutely. Here's a kind of question you might get asked. in your opinion, what are some qualities of a good leader? Ooh, that's a good one, isn't it? Maybe you've never thought about that. You might say, well, that's a good question. Never thought about that. But, you know, what comes to mind is, so here we go. Methods, here we go. Again, extend your answers, develop them, show off your grammar and your vocabulary. Here we go. So first of all, you give your answer. You explain why or how. Give some more details. The reason for this is, well, you know, this is done because, or frame your language by time, give examples, consider two views. All right. So we're going to have some examples of all this. So let's get on and do that. And yes, they can be challenging. They are supposed to be challenging. All right. They're pushing you to the limit, maybe. Hesitation devices, remember, gives you time to think. Buy time. The methods slide again, Christina says. All right, I'll quickly go back. Here we go, just for Christina. Here we go. There it is. Take a screenshot. All right. Okay. No worries. Let's go. Hesitation devices. Yeah, you need time to think, to compose your answer. And it's always a good thing. You don't have to go immediately and give your answer. That's okay. Just take time to think, but communicate that you are taking time to think. Don't just sit there without saying anything. Oh, right. So yes, you've got all sorts of things here. We can say, let me see, you know, I mean, well, like, and then some longer ones. Tough question, big question. Never thought about that before. Hard to say. Well, I'm no expert, but, you know, I'd say that. Use a contraction here, not I would. I'd say that. Look, you may not use these, but practice them. Get to know them so they become part of your English. And then they may come in handy. All right. All right, let's move on. Now we've got to listen to some of these. So we just got to listen and fill in the gaps as the instruction says there. All right. The examiner asks and the candidate gives an answer. All right, here we go.
In your opinion, what are some qualities of a good leader?
Oh, it's hard to say. I mean, there are a lot of things that make a good leader. First and foremost, I suppose, there's the personality. This is a critical factor in determining.
There we go. You see? What did she say? It's hard to say, exactly. I mean, first and foremost, I suppose there's the, so she said quite a lot, but she hasn't actually answered the question yet. All right. There are a lot of things that make a good leader. Now, first and foremost, I suppose there's, well, there's the personality. All right. So you can see how this works, right? It's pretty cool. All right. Okay. Next, let's have a look at some more. Here we go. Have a listen and write out what the candidate uses to give herself time.
Do you think anyone can learn to be a good leader, or is it a natural talent?
Well, I'm not sure actually, but you know, I guess that in some, actually many cases, it does seem to be an innate gift. Like take for instance, Mahatma Gandhi or Martin Luther King.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm not sure actually, but you know, I guess you see where we're going here, right? It's interesting, isn't it? That you can use all this little language here and you are communicating, all right? You're actually communicating with your listener in a very natural way. I'm sure you do it in your own first languages, right? So learn to do it better in English, and that'll give you time for those ideas to arise, you hope. All right, let's have a look at another one. Have a listen. Here you go. Ready? Fill in the gaps. More buying time.
Does a company's success depend on management or on staff in general?
That's such a tough question. Let me see. I guess on the one hand, management plays an important role by managing the outfit, obviously, but also making sure that.
All right. Now you saw the candidate, you heard the candidate there. So give herself plenty of time to think. But even as she was giving her opinion, she was still thinking. There was a little bit of hesitation happening there. And that's perfectly normal. These are difficult questions. These are things that we don't normally talk about. So remember when you're practicing Use questions. You can find lots in the topic toolkits. I'll show you where later in our vocabulary section on Each Language. Use questions that ask you about things you don't normally talk about, maybe you've never thought about. It's important to exercise your vocabulary and to activate those words that you don't normally use in English. Make them yours. Right, here's another one. Have a listen and write.
How important is it for global leaders to get along with each other?
Well, I'm certainly no expert on international politics, but I would imagine that it's extremely important.
Right. I mean, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? Okay. And what was the language? Well, I'm not really certain, but yes, exactly. I'm certainly no expert, she said, sorry. I'm certainly no expert on international politics. So noting all these down, these are ones you can use. And there's a bit of a review of what we heard. Take a screenshot. I know it seems like, oh, well, I'm just using somebody else's language. Well, if you use it enough and you use it naturally, then it becomes your language. And it gives you a chance for your thoughts to come. All right. So it's a big thing sometimes, isn't it? You're really stuck. People say, I get stuck. I don't know what to say. Don't sit there saying nothing. Learn what to say so that you've got time to think. All right. The first question answer slide. I think we'll to the first and second question. All right. Okay, look, there's a lot of you. We'll quickly go back. Right. 3, 2. There we go. There's number 1. Screenshot. You better use these. I'll tell you, otherwise you're in trouble. Okay. Next one. Number 2. Photo, screenshot. This is great because I know you're going to use them afterwards, so I don't mind doing this. Number 3. There we go. Such a tough question. And lastly, number 4. Cool. All righty. And that was our summary there. Guess what? It's time for you to do some more practice. Okay. Don't forget, use your phone, record yourself. Okay. You'll have the questions. Do it. Practice, listen, do it again. Here we go. All right. So Examiner Dave is here to ask you some questions. Here are the methods. Remember, you're going to explain it. You're going to frame it. All right. Framing means something like, well, in many countries in the world, it's setting a context. Okay, you've got 45 seconds. There's no time limit in part 3, of course. But again, the examiner needs to ask you a certain number of questions. So she may interrupt you if she needs to move on and ask you a different question. Don't worry, not your problem. You just keep talking until she says thank you. All right. Remember, you're going to explain by time, give examples. Consider 2 views. Try that. Some people would say that. But on the other hand, I've read that 2 views. See if you can do that. 45 seconds for each. Are we ready? Here we go.
We've been talking about a leader you admire, and I'd like to ask you 1 or 2 more questions related to this. Let's talk about qualities of leaders. In your opinion, what are some qualities of a good leader? Do you think anyone can learn to be a good leader, or is it a natural talent? Let's talk about leadership. Does a company's success depend on management or on staff in general? How important is it for global leaders to get along with each other?
All right. So how was that? That last question, wow, that's a tricky one, isn't it? Maybe you got some ideas going, but you might like to try it again afterwards. How important is it for global leaders to get on with each other? Not really sure. I'm not an expert on that, but I'd say it probably is important, because, and then you continue to answer it. Now, question in the chat box while you were doing this, do we have to wear formal dress during the speaking test? Well, wherever you live, wear the dress that's most expected and you're most comfortable in, all right? It's up to you, but formality is not important unless it's important to you and you feel it's important to the examiner. That's where I would go. All right. Any more questions before we move on? Okay, Varsha, thank you. Varsha would like to volunteer. Now, often in our speaking classes, for you who've not been in it before or on YouTube, we do have volunteers who come on and speak. Well, this class, we're running out of time and we're not having any volunteers for part 3, but sometimes we do. So thank you very much, Varsha, for volunteering. Come again next week. And, various others would like to go too. All right. So I'm afraid you're going to have to do it in the privacy of your own home. And I'm sure you'll do lots of practice now that you have got some ideas about how you can give yourself time to think when you're answering difficult questions. Now, before we go on to the end, we've got an 8.5 IELTS candidate. Let's have a look at her full answers, some samples. Here we go. So you can see these are the questions that you're going to be practicing. Have a listen, make some notes. What did she do well? What did you like?
In your opinion, what are some qualities of a good leader?
Oh, it's hard to say. I mean, there are a lot of things that make a good leader. First and foremost, I suppose, there's the personality. This is a critical factor in determining whether someone would be a good leader. I also believe that leaders need to be charismatic so that they can get their team members to follow their lead. They should also not be too authoritarian so as not to intimidate their team members if they want to come up to them with any problems. They should also be very considerate of their subordinates and be good at management.
Well, what did you think about that? Well extended, lots of examples.
In your opinion, what are some qualities?
So let's move on to the next one. Do you think anyone can learn to be a good leader? Or is it a... No.
Do you think anyone can learn to be a good leader, or is it a natural talent?
Well, I'm not sure actually, but I guess that in some, actually many cases, it does seem to be an innate gift. Like take for instance, Mahatma Gandhi or Martin Luther King. These were leaders that had the courage to stand up to society and stand up against the injustice around them. I feel like that is something that you're born with, the courage and initiative that leaders show. You might be able to learn that, but it would be really difficult.
Okay, number 3. Varsha asked if we have a transcript of these. I can't provide you with one, I'm afraid. But you could always go and listen again to our recorded live classes, which are up 24 hours after they go live.
Does a company's success depend on management or on staff in general?
That's such a tough question. Let me see. I guess on the one hand, management plays an important role by managing the outfit, obviously, but also making sure that everything is running consistently and everybody's working well together. But I feel like the dedication and hard work of the staff also goes a long way in ensuring the success of any organization.
Very nice. Ajay asked a question, can we see our notes while speaking in part 2? Absolutely. You can see your notes and the task card for the whole time. And the last one.
How important is it for global leaders to get along with each other?
Well, I'm certainly no expert on international politics, but I would imagine that it's extremely important. In today's day and age where nuclear power is so prominent throughout the world, I feel like global leaders have the responsibility to maintain peace, and that can only be ensured if they get along with each other. I feel like global leaders have a responsibility to be respectful to each other and try to understand each other, just to make sure that everybody gets to live.
Everybody gets to live. That's a nice answer, isn't it? But you know, when she's talking about global leaders, they're people. All right? So you could think about, well, what would it take for normal people to get on? All right. And why is it important? Okay. So here, take a screenshot, photograph, hesitation devices, some collocations you can use. Use these when you practice answering those questions that we've just been working with. Try to make some of these words that you probably understand when you read them, make them your English by using them. All right. Okay, now as I said, you can watch this class again via our recorded classes on e2language.com. They're available 24 hours after the actual class. So we're coming to the end of the class, and it's been great having you all on board and all you guys on YouTube, and hope that some of you who are here for the first time might join us in preparation for your IELTS test. So questions, yeah. When you listen to yourself after the class, what did you do well? Don't just be critical of yourself in saying, oh, that was terrible, I didn't manage to do that. What did you find difficult? What do you need to work on? And that's really important, isn't it? As you continue with your practice, keep reviewing, what do I need to do more of or better? And then the $64 million question is, how can you do it? And of course, we would love to help you here at E2 Language. All right, just having a look at the chat box for those of you on YouTube wondering what I'm doing. Just see. Good. All right. Can we speak as though certainly like this? I'm not sure what you mean, Vidu, but it sounds like a good idea. How to get the right vocabulary while talking? That's a great question, Marima. And what I would suggest you do is to follow up on what I'm suggesting you do with your phone, and that is to get yourself a part 3 question, answer it, listen to it, think, now that reminds me, I could have said this and that. Keep working on the vocabulary to talk about certain topics. Topic toolkits will help you, and I'm going to show you those in a second to develop the vocabulary. But in terms of speaking and writing, of course, but speaking, the more you use your vocabulary, the more you attempt to talk about things you don't normally talk about, then the more of that vocabulary, which is there somewhere, will become activated and be yours to use in the future. It's a process, but you've got to keep talking and not just talking about stuff you know about. All right. Now, I mentioned in relationship to the band descriptors that are a bit complicated right at the beginning of the lesson, if you remember that far back. Here is our simplified version. Take a screenshot, or it's on our E2 language course. You can use it to assess yourself. For example, it's always good when you're listening to part 3. Did I develop my answer fully? What else could I have done to say more? And so on. All right, there you go. Useful little tool. Print it out, stick it on your wall. Now you want to do some more practice. Okay, now we've got a bonus here, and I'm going to just flick this into the chat box for those of you on. Now it's the second one of this here. I've got 2 up here. The second one, it's that e2language.com 20 IELTS topics. All right, so that's for you guys on Zoom. Copy that on, a bonus 20 speaking topics. And if you are on YouTube, just put 20 TOPICS into your live chat, and that will give you a link to take you to this resource. It's yours to use. Please use it because it'll help you to improve your speaking. 20 TOPICS for all those on E2 on YouTube. Cool. All righty, we're nearly there. Now, here we go. Back to the dashboard. This is what you get when you're an E2 language student. You get this. So to improve your English, improve your spoken language, your core skills will help you deal with simple issues like articles or prepositions or tenses. And in the study materials, you've got a whole range of different skills, resources that you can use. We're focusing on speaking today, but you can see we've got reading, listening, writing tasks 1 and 2, lots of practice tests, and vocabulary. Lots of questions about vocabulary. How do I broaden my vocabulary? How do I get more words? It's a process that you have to really do seriously because it takes time. And this will help you. Use our topic toolkits here in your academic and general vocabulary. Lots of questions for parts 1, 2, and 3 for the IELTS speaking test. 20 different topics. Topics like animals and space and technology, science and technology and food and farming and so on. All right, lots and lots. Now you can get some feedback on your speaking by sending us a 2-minute recording and we will let you know how you're doing. You can do it for the writing as well. And also you can do it through a tutorial. You could spend 45 minutes with someone like myself, my colleague Sasha or Anna or Danielle and so on. And we can spend a lot of time with you, helping you on your speaking. All right, you can buy one-on-one speaking tests, speaking intensive and tutorials right up here where it says E2 plus extras or something. I can't read it. Okay, now, if you want more feedback, we are coming to the end, guys. So if you have to leave, thanks very much for joining us. It's been great. A computer-delivered mock test, listening, reading, and writing, all right? As it is in the test, no breaks, no coffee breaks. You sit down, you do it from beginning to end. Mock tests online using Zoom, as we're doing today, all right? Speaking tests, indicative band scores, personalized feedback, recording of your test. And that's what you get in our mini mock tests. And what else? That's where you buy them on the dashboard. So if you're already a member and you haven't actually tried one, give it a go. Next, some of you are on YouTube already. Join us. We've got, I don't know, 1 million members or something like that. Loads and loads of people, an amazing array of different videos on all sorts of aspects of all the 4 skills, plus vocabulary, plus. Have a look. And I did mention a little earlier on, yes, we've got our super duper premium package, everything all in one, plus 3 free express packages for friends and family. If you really want to take the plunge and you really want to prepare yourself fully for the IELTS test, this could well be the package for you. Have a look on e2language.com. And We would love your feedback. So what we would like you to do, and this is the first of these links. Some of you have already done it, so thank you so much. Copy this link, forms dot whatever it is, and give us your feedback. Tell us what you like and what you'd like more of or less of. We love to have your feedback. It's really, really important, so we know we're doing as much as we can to support you in your IELTS preparation. Email? Oh, okay, good. Right, I think we're done. Yes, we're done. If you need any help, all right, and you're a member of E2 Language, hello@e2language.com. If you want to find out more about what we've got and you're not a member, hello@e2language.com. Hey, I think that's a wrap. Thanks so much for joining me. Lots going on at the weekend, of course, and right through the week. So thank you very much for being on, and stay safe. Have a great weekend. Keep speaking, all right? Record yourself, listen to yourself, do it again. It really does work. All right. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye now.